title to what I'm talking about tonight, Chuckwaggon Faith. And I'm sorry, I am so far away from you guys. I can't see you with these glasses anyway. So, last weekend, we caught up on the NCIS, the new ones. And one of the things had this little girl, and she was from El Salvador, maybe? Okay. NCIS stands for Naval Investigative Service something. Anyway, they're Navy cops. They're Navy cops in the TV show. And they work as a really awesome team. They just really, if they were real people and this was their real work, they'd be doing a lot of good in a lot of different directions.
Good show.
So anyway, they had found this woman, and she had like 10 children, and they were at no, but she could have, I suppose. Live issue. Anyway, so they were at the PX or the commissary or wherever they were, and she was feeding them, and of course they were kind of out of hand and naughty and that kind of stuff. But they were orphans. And they were somewhere between 6 and 10 years old, all of them. And so, for some reason or another, one of the teams spotted that this little girl was being watched by this guy. So they took her into protective custody. And when they did, then they had to figure out who this guy was that was following her and what her story was and where her mom was and all this other kind of stuff. And they kept up with her for however long it took, maybe 3 or 4 days, whatever that was. And the second morning, she ate, little girl, right, about 8. She ate 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 hamburgers. 4. She liked hamburgers. So I was thinking, well, I could call this Hamburger Faith. And then I thought, well, okay, but I'm not sure they had hamburgers in the Old West. So then I thought, well, in the Old West, life revolved around the chuckwagon. On every trail drive, they had a chuckwagon. So that's where we started, at the chuckwagon. What does it mean to have Chuckwaggon Faith? What does it mean to have faith? Oh, look at you.
Whatever you do,
Why didn't I think of that?
will turn out because God is holding God in this. And faith is whether it turns out good or bad.
Do
You
you,
remember that it turns out good for a reason.
do you remember which verse that is? Hebrews 1. Hebrews 1. Huh?
I didn't know it was a verse.
Yes, ma'am. Hebrews 1 says, faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not yet seen. So I had to snoop around a little bit, and I'm thinking, when you say that, faith is the substance, and you're sitting there thinking, okay, so is it something that I could bounce like this? Is it something that I could, like bread, and knead like this, or what, right? What is the substance? And what is the evidence? So I had to find out what substance meant. It's the Greek word hupotasso, cute word, and it means foundation, the nature of a thing, steadfastness of mind, courage, confidence, or assurance. And I've seen in some translations where it says that faith is the assurance of things hoped for. So then I wanted to know what evidence was. And evidence is proof and conviction. So we could say faith is the steadfastness of mind that we hope for and the conviction of things not yet seen. We could put any of those words in there and it would still basically say the same thing. Hebrews 1. 11:1, sorry. Hebrews 11:1. Hebrews 11 is the Hall of Faith. Have you heard that term? It has all the big names, Abraham and Noah and all those people. By faith they did this. By faith they did that. Yeah. Okay. So, would you say that seeing is believing or believing is seeing based on faith is a substance hoped for? The evidence, believing is seeing. Good call. I agree. Leaving the wreck. Well, it looks like this boy ain't doing so good. Things didn't turn out like you figured they would. He's tied hard and fast on a hoss that was green. The hoss started to rear, and that old cow got mean. He's been tangled and jerked from under his hat, and he'd rather be somewhere than where he's at. He could find no place right handy to sit, so he reckoned the best thing he could do was to quit. From the way that he looks as he's leaving that wreck, when he lands, there's no danger of breaking his neck. But as soon as he lights, he'll have plenty to do with a cow on the fight and his rope broken too. It's one of them things that takes place now and then to remind the old cowboy a rope has two ends. And he sure finds out quick that there isn't much hope when things start going wrong at both ends of the rope. Have you been there? In a situation where both ends of the rope that was supposed to be there for some sort of safety or job or work, and you're in trouble. Have you ever thought about quitting? Walking away, trying to find a soft place to land? Yeah. So I want to introduce you to a story in Mark 5. Is that there? Mark 5. Jesus was on his way to heal a girl, and maybe you remember Jairus' daughter? Okay. So he was on his way to heal her. But as he was going, this woman came along, and she'd been sick for 12 years. Some sort of a wound or something. We think of it as something else, but I was thinking about that, and it could be anything. It could be a tumor. It could be phlegm from her chest. It could be a lot of different things. Anyway, she didn't have enough confidence to walk up to Jesus and ask him to heal her. So she said, if I can just touch the hem of his garment, I'll be made well. To her, she'd been trying to get away from that angry mama cow for a long time. She knew what it felt like to have things going wrong at both ends of her rope. You see, not only was she so very sick, she had also been to every doctor there was for miles around and spent every cent of her money trying to find a cure. Nothing had helped. This was her last-ditch effort to find a solution. Perhaps at one end of her rope, her horse would stand still long enough for her to get back on and just ride away like the wind. Maybe if she could just touch the hem of his garment. So she did. And instead of being angry with her, Jesus said, daughter, he called her daughter. Your faith, your trust and your confidence in me, because of your faith in God, has made you well. Be healed and freed from your disease. I'll bet she thought about quitting lots of times. I'll bet she thought about just giving up and saying, I can't do this anymore. I can't handle being sick. I can't handle spending all my money. I can't handle what the doctors do. I can't imagine what doctors did back then. I mean, I've seen some of those ancient instruments in museums, They look scary. Okay? So she touched the hem of his garment, and he said, "Your faith has made you well." The substance that you needed is the evidence that you're now well. Can it be that simple? Yes, it's just a bunch of hosses standing out there in the rain. The reason that they're doing it is easy to explain. There is no shelter handy, so to travel ain't no good, and they wouldn't go into the barn even if they could. It's just a little weather, and they're plenty used to that, like a cowboy in the open living underneath his hat. All the hosses and the people that's lived their life outside seem to have a constitution that take it on the hide. Without a bit of thinking, I can tell you right from here, a hoss is living on the range as long as 30 years. While the hosses that's in stables and always roofed and fed, lots of them before they're 20 has been hauled off plenty dead. So it seems the way with people, and it seems the way with stock. And the cedar grows the toughest when it's right among the rocks. That's why hosses, men and women, if they're made of proper stuff, gets along a whole lot better if they're raised a little rough. Interesting. We could retell this story around the chuckwagon. Every cowboy that came in from riding hard all day long and got his coffee and his biscuit. Oh, wait, they ate apple pie. They always ate their pie first. Coffee and pie before they ever got the beans. Had to, right? Anyway, they knew about living it rough. Cowboys have been out riding hard through rain and storms. And maybe they were in a stampede one day, and a couple horses were lost, and a couple of cowboys lay hurt in the gear wagon. Maybe the chuckwagon was overturned in a swollen river and has only a sparse amount of hardtack, jerky, and coffee left to share. The apple pie got washed away. It's barely enough to feed one hungry man, let alone a whole crew of hungry cowboys. Compare this to the story of the people on the hillside long ago with Jesus. Some of them had left homes that no longer had enough food for everyone to have a full meal. But Jesus was not concerned with a lack of food. He was concerned that they would once again leave him hungry. They had been with him for 3 days, and some of them had traveled a long ways to hear him speak. I know you remember this story. So the disciples told him, "We don't have enough money. We can't possibly go find enough food for all this many people." The Bible records 4,000 people plus women and children. So I'm sitting here thinking, Yes. 4,000 well said men. 4,000 men plus women and children. Does that make more sense? Okay. Maybe I said it bad. Anyway, they always said it that way. Plus women and children. Okay. Plus puppies. So if you're going to feed 4,000 people plus women and children, you have at least 12,000 people. Minimum. Chances are you have closer to 24,000 people. And here's Jesus, and here's his disciples, and they didn't even pack themselves a picnic basket. They didn't even have any food. Silly man. Anyway. And they didn't think there would be enough rabbits running around in the hillside to go catch enough for that many people. But Apparently, there were 7 loaves of bread somewhere in the crowd, and a few small fish. Similar to the chuckwagon, it was down to the bare dregs. But Jesus did something that, I don't know about you, but I have a hard time grasping what it was that happened. He blessed the food, and the disciples started handing it out to people. And they handed it out, 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 and handed it out, and handed it out, till everyone was fed. There was enough to go around, and more than that, when the people had left, the disciples gathered up 7 big baskets of food. Now, if they'd have been cowboys, they'd have been smart on the digs. But these disciples were a little different than cowboys. And they left those 7 baskets on the hillside. And they followed Jesus down to the water, and they climbed in the boat. And then they realized sometimes later, oh, we're hungry. And they had 1 loaf of bread. 1 loaf. And you know what Jesus said? He said, didn't I bless the bread and there was enough? Exactly so. Oh, ye of little faith. Oh, ye of little faith. I think about myself sometimes, and I think, do I even come barely, barely up to snuff on faith? Anyway, cowboys of the Old West lived under the stars and in the storms. They were desperate at times for things to go right. They were a tough crowd. The people on the hillside with Jesus that day were tough too. They knew what it was like not to have roofs over their heads, to go hungry, to feel weak from hunger, to have wondered where their next meal was going to come from. Here we are back in the chuckwagon in the night of the storm. And the cowboys all felt that way. They were like, there's 1 little piece of hardtack, and 1 little piece of jerky, and maybe enough coffee for 1 pot of coffee. How do we slice that all up? How do we have enough? Right? Well, perhaps Jesus was there with them that night. Perhaps he had that 1 lone cowboy who carried his Bible with him and knew how to ask for what he needed. Maybe it was a cook. Maybe the Bible was in the chuckwagon. A little farther on in Mark 8, oh, I already told you that, where the disciples were getting their baskets of food, and they discovered only 1 loaf. It amazes me that at that point in time, after they had been there, we'll say with 24,000 people, and they had passed out the bread and passed out the fish, that many people, and they had 1 loaf, and they got on the boat, and they went, we only have 1 loaf, and we're hungry. It's not enough. They had already forgotten. Yeah. So what is it about Chuckwaggon Faith? We've compared cowboys on the trail to a couple of stories in the New Testament and how Jesus worked to help the people. Every one of the people in the stories had a story of their own. Each person's story was fraught with trouble, hunger, sadness, depression, desperation, pain, strength, and toughness. Each person had a rope that not only had two ends, but was broke in the middle and had something going on at both of those ends, and they're in trouble. Each one of them had had a chuckwagon that had been overturned in a raging river in the middle of a stampede, something, right? Each person needed something, and on their own had no way of getting it. Like the woman who was sick and tried everything she knew what to do. The people who had come to hear Jesus on the hillside had given up everything for that one event. Some may have even given up their homes to pay for the trip. Each of the disciples had nothing of their own. They didn't even pack their own picnic baskets to keep safe. The cowboys in our story had ridden through the storm and stampede. The chuckwagon had lost most of its supplies. Everyone was bone tired, some hurt, all hungry. Would, could, should Jesus do it again? He would, could, and should if there was even one person there that he could have blessed the heart attack and the jerky. He would, could, and should if there was faith there. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not yet seen, or in our case, even. Faith to trust. Faith to trust in the midst of everything gone wrong. Faith to trust in all the unknowns. Faith to trust on a trail miles from the nearest town. Faith to trust when there's nothing left but a couple of pieces of hardtack and a bit of jerky in the larder. How do we do that? How do we come to the place of that much having nothing and have faith? That's yes, there is absolutely lots of that, and I think everybody in all of these situations would say the same thing. But I want to pull you back to what Jesus told that woman. Because of your faith, I think the word that I would describe it as resolve. That may be a word to describe. We have to make up our own minds to trust and have faith. Like Pam said, there's a lot of times that things are going on so fast you don't have time to think, and God carries us through. But if things have been going on, like with the woman, 12 years, it says, 12 years. It took a lot of resolve for her, for a lot of determination, a lot of courage, for her to get up out of her bed one more day and go find Jesus and say, if I can just touch the hem of his garment. We have to take action in the direction we want the evidence to be. Faith without works is dead. It accomplishes nothing. What about today? What about us? If it be the loss of a job, keep putting in applications and preparing for interviews. If it be a long struggle to accomplish something, keep working on it. If it be an illness, keep coming to Jesus. If it be faint from hunger for lack of food, ask a blessing on the food. Don't ever back down. None of them did, except for the disciples. Yeah, the disciples backed down because they had just seen something really amazing And then, oh, we can't possibly. But Jesus commanded them, by your faith. He said, have chuckwagon faith. Always come back to the chuckwagon. Always come back to what you know is going to be there for you, even if it's a little slight on the supplies. Anytime we're in a situation or circumstance that's uncertain, come back to the chuckwagon. It's a time of tremendous need when we can do, when we cannot do anything. Guess what? With my glasses. To correct what we need on our own. When we need someone to help us accomplish the impossible. Here's some Hershey chocolates. Maybe. If they were real, that would represent everything is going well. They look good on the outside. You can open one up and see if it's a real thing. If it's the real thing, it represents how we look, even if everything is wrong and we need some chuckwagon faith to take us down the trail. If it's not real, it's there to remind us that we all have hidden sufferings, even though we look great on the outside. It's not real. I accidentally left real ones up at the house. You do? No, please don't. No. Those are there to remind us that we can look so good on the outside and our whole world is crumbling on the inside. And we need that faith. We need to find a way to get up out of our beds, walk down that road one more time, and find where Jesus is at. And if we can just but touch the end of that garden. We need to be the cowboy out there in the storm. If we can just get back to the chuckwagon. There should be hot coffee. There's supposed to be apple pie. And of course beans, but always apple pie and coffee. There should be a nice warm fire for us to rest, right? Jesus, tonight we want our faith to be active. We want you to have something that blesses us. Perhaps we've not even seen evidence of our faith. Perhaps we've insisted in trying to solve all of our problems our own life. Perhaps we've tried to sneak the only hardtack and jerky from the chuckwagon. Perhaps we don't even know it's there. Maybe we've gone in the rain, the lightning, the thunder, and set snares for rabbits. Maybe we're laid up in the gear wagon and can't find anything. Tonight, maybe some of us have trouble at both ends of the rope. Maybe some of us do not have a rope and wish we did, because that would mean there might be something on the other end that was worthwhile. Jesus, tonight, even though we're tough enough to take it, we want to leave the wreck behind. We want to say, I have faith. I have trust. I can't see it yet, but you, our Lord, have given us a rope for faith in our hearts, that when that rope meets your provision, things will change. Sometimes just in time. Help us to be courageous enough to seek you out in faith. Help us to have enough confidence in you that we can do what you did and bless in our circumstances, so that there's always enough, maybe just enough, but enough safety, enough rope, enough help, enough to eat, enough chuck wagons to carry the load.